Hi, John Dwyer here, and I'm the owner of a marketing advisory business called The Institute of Wow. And if you wanted to have a look at my stuff and my background and all the credentials and stuff that come with it when you become a coach, you've got to have all those credentials behind you, then it's theinstituteofwow.com. But don't go there just yet, okay? I wanted to actually give you in this relatively short webinar a formula. And that formula I think you'll find is very valuable if you join the dots. But before I give you the formula, and it's a avalanche leads formula, by the way, which you can use offline or online, but particularly online. Let me give you a little bit about my background and what you're going to learn in this short webinar. Firstly, in my earlier days, I was known as the avalanche leads expert for a lot of the big companies. We're talking the McDonald's and News Limited, as in Rupert Murdoch, Channel 9, Blockbuster Video when video was big, 7-Eleven, a lot of the gas stations, and fast food chains, KFC, Red Rooster, so on and so forth. A lot of those companies would pay me a fair sum of money to create what they wanted, and what they wanted was a bucket load of leads, what I call avalanche leads. Now, I used to produce that for these big companies by doing lots of different things. One of them was for newspapers and magazines, the big scratch bingo games, and you might remember they were big time. For the fast food chains, it was continuity programs. So you might remember that if you were going to collect toys through one of the fast food chains, it would be Mickey one week, and then Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, Donald, whatever it might be, and that created an avalanche effect. A lot of these businesses were interested in what I guess Anthony Robbins calls a pattern interrupt. And the pattern interrupt would be that we'd launch the big campaign with a big offer, and then we would hook people into a repetitive spending pattern over a series of weeks. Now, times have changed, and of course we live in the online world now. And thank God we do, because Facebook is the most laser targeted form of advertising the world's ever seen, which means when I pick up that avalanche leads formula from my old days and put it into social media in this day and age, it's even more powerful. Because guess what? In the old days, if you were doing something in the newspaper or magazine, or even if you're doing that today, you've got quite a bit of wastage. Okay, so if you happen to be, I don't know, manufacturing a wrinkle cream, and you put an ad in the Woman's Day magazine, then that audience who might be over 40 or 45 might be interested in that product, but everyone underneath that, not the least bit interested in wrinkle creams. They don't have enough wrinkles just yet. So there's a lot of wastage. The great thing is with Facebook, if you are into an expensive wrinkle cream, you can say to Facebook, look, here's a couple of hundred of my best customers' emails. Really look for their traits and their habits, and then create a lookalike audience and make sure my wrinkle cream, which is pretty expensive, only goes in front of those ladies. And guess what? That's where your ad goes. So minimizing, almost eliminating wastage. It is laser targeted. And what I'll be showing you in just a moment is how you can actually use that laser targeted advertising to create avalanche leads for your business. So that's what I've done. I've taken the old world avalanche marketing techniques that I used to use with using newspapers and TV stations and radio stations, and now I've picked it up and made it available for the likes of you who might own or run a business with your own TV and radio and newspaper. And guess what? That's your phone, okay? Your mobile smartphone now has everything in it. It's got video, it's got photography, it's got sound, it's got everything. So therefore, you don't need to do the deals like I used to with the big media outlets to make noise. You can make noise to a very specific target audience with your own Facebook advertising. And I'll get onto that in just a moment. But first of all, let me say this to you. What do you think is the very, very first thing you need to do if you're going to attract leads? You have to determine who is your most profitable target audience, because that, of course, really goes hand in hand with this very, very laser targeted form of advertising online with social media. You want to be able to say to Facebook or Instagram, look, my target audience looks like this. They happen to be aged 35 through to 50. They have children at a private school. They're more likely driving a BMW, and their interests are things like chess and bridge, and they play tennis 2 times a week, whatever it may be, okay? And guess what? You can then go out and target that specific lookalike audience via social media, and then you can put your campaign in front of just them. Like, it's just nuts. In terms of the opportunity, if you know how to do it, it's just nuts. But of course, in the first instance, to get the best benefit out of that sort of advertising, you've got to identify your most profitable audience, and then of course then you go looking for more people who look like them. The other thing that you need to do, okay, is not sell on price. That's fine if you're Kmart or your Big W or maybe the $2 crazy Clark store, but most of us aren't. Most of us want to retain margin. And if you want to retain margin, what you don't want to do is get into a price war. You want to be able to value add rather than price discount. And that is really, really important. And the best way to probably explain that to you, is McDonald's for many years have exploited the Happy Meal toy. And if you're a parent or a grandparent, you'll know that that takes your eyes off the price, because you've probably bought a few Happy Meals, not because of the hamburger, but because of pester power. Little Timmy or little Julie, wants the free Disney toy inside. And that's a great example of what I call wow factor marketing, to take your eyes off the price. So that's the sort of thing that you need to consider. Let's give you this example. God, I got all excited there. But let me give you this example. Let's just say you're a hardware store. Do you think you're going to beat Bunnings if you just have a wheelbarrow and you drop your price from $80 to $60? Do you think Bunnings are going to let you have that break? No. I mean, their advertising says that we will beat any other competitor's price by 10%. You can't beat a 40-ton gorilla if you're going to take them on price. You can only beat them if you give away, let's say, a free shovel or free pitchfork and shovel with your wheelbarrow. And then Bunnings will never be able to match you, because by the time they put that through 16 committee meetings, then of course you would have sold a bucket load of wheelbarrows. So that's what you've got to think about. I'll give you another example, a hair salon. Instead of putting a 10% discount sign outside a hair salon, nobody's going to react to that in the world of Groupon. I mean, it's 50%. Imagine if you said to your customers, mainly women, look, for every $50 you spend with me, I'm going to give you a cinema point, a movie cinema point, or movie point. And they go, okay, right, yeah, for every $50 I get a movie point. And when you save 10 movie points, which means you spent 10 times $50, that's 500, we're going to give you a $50 voucher or gift card to go to Hoyt's Cinemas. Now, $50 as a percentage of the 500 that lady has spent over a period of 2 months or 3 months is 10%. Do you think that's going to work more as a wow factor than a 10% discount outside? So all we've done is taken that discount and turned it into a Happy Meal toy. We've turned it into a tangible wow factor. And that's what you need to do. Stop price discounting. Stop it tomorrow, because that is a race to the bottom. The other thing you need to consider, the third thing, before we get into just showcasing a little bit of the social media stuff, is that you need to consider a problem solution scenario. So therefore, the headache tablets like Nurofen and Panadol, they've nailed this. They basically used to tell us about paracetamol and codeine, all those wonderful things that were in the tablet that we didn't care about. They're features, okay? They're not benefits. And so therefore now, if you see a TV advertisement or anything online to do with Nurofen, it'll show a school teacher in front of a bunch of kids, misbehaving, and she's rubbing her forehead, and all of a sudden she pulls out her desk drawer, has a glass of water with the Nurofen, and then when the camera comes back, she's got lippy, blush, she looks so much more, attractive, and the kids are sitting down well behaved behind their desk. Amazing what headache tablets do for children even. So it's all about the benefits, not the features. We don't much care about what's in that tablet. Yeah, you can tell me that later on. I just want my headache gone in 10 minutes. And a little clock on the TV screen goes around and she looks $1 million within 10 minutes. It's called problem solution advertising. Now, the other thing, number 4, which is really, really important, and that is fix your website. There's a very good chance that you fall into the category of about 80% of business owners, and that is you've got an awful website. And if you don't believe me, then check with your Google Analytics or ring up your IT guy and find out what your bounce rate is. And your bounce rate really is a barometer of just how boring your website is. And if your bounce rate is sitting at 60 or 70 or 80%, you're in deep trouble, because that means that 60, 70 or 80% of people who come to your website bounce before they go to any other page. So it doesn't matter how many more sub pages you have on your website. If you board them, whatless, on your homepage, they've bounced, and you've wasted all that money getting them there, and you've certainly wasted all the money building the other pages on your website. And I'm telling you that in my world, I'd say most of the businesses that come into me helping them with marketing advice fall into the category of having a 70 or 80% bounce rate. That'd be like in the old days having a delicatessen where someone opens the door, ding-a-ling-a-ling, the little bell goes, and you're excited because they're coming into your shop. They look in, and they go, no, that's boring. They close and leave. That'd be like 7 or 8 out of 10 people doing that with your delicatessen. So if you have a high bounce rate, you need to fix it. And there are certain components that you need on your homepage of your website to keep people sticky. and engaged, and of course to make them think you're interesting. And one of those things is a problem solution headline, okay, or benefit driven headline. The next thing is that what you should do is have a little bit of storytelling about what your products and services are and the benefits that they will give to people. Now, you might do that via a welcome video, or you might do it by a number of dot points. And you know that in this day and age, to have a website designed, of course, you want to make sure that you just have a responsive design, which is panel after panel after panel. The other thing that you need to do is consider testimonials on your homepage. If you've got a testimonial page, well, good on you, but not many people have ever been there. We know through heat mapping that hardly anyone goes to the testimonial page. What you want to do is grab the best 2 or 3 and put them on your homepage, and preferably video. I'm not saying that it has to be video, but preferably video. And the other big thing that you need on your homepage, gosh, I don't know where that voice came from. The other big thing that you need on your homepage, or a little bit less hypo, is a data capture facility. And what that's all about is that you need to do what McDonald's don't do. Okay, McDonald's have 1.7 million, I think it is, people in Australia through their restaurants today, and they don't know who any of them are. Can you imagine that? Whenever we hold a seminar or an event, we get people to fill out practically their blood group. We know their name, we know their mobile number, we know their email, we know their website, we know the turnover they're doing, we know the sort of business they're in, we know their target audience, we know everything about them, so that I can structure my seminar presentation based on who's in the room. But it's crazy. You can go to just about any website of any business, or you can go to any offline business, and they won't care who you are. Bunnings will never ask you for your details. Dreamworld and Movie World on the Gold Coast will ask you for your postcode. I don't know how that's going to help them, but they won't ask you for your contact details. You can go to Michelle's Patisserie, you go to Woolworths, Coles, you can go to just about any, David Jones, Myer, go anywhere you like today, and no one cares who you are. They do not ask any question. Look at the big sporting venues or matches that have 80,000 people at their final series. The ticketing agency has the detail, but the actual sporting codes themselves have not collected anything. Can you imagine the money they're leaving on the table by not collecting data? Can you imagine how many t-shirts and caps and supporter merchandise they could sell the next week? It is just nuts. So therefore, on your homepage of your website, you need to have a data capture facility. And that could be as easy as giving away a free report, okay, or free download of a video, or it could be the lure to win a prize. The whole idea is that if you have someone on the homepage of your website, chances are they're there because they're half interested in the products or services that you sell, but they're going to go shopping elsewhere as well. So grab their details so that within an hour of them leaving their details, you're onto them to try and sell. And a good example of that was if I was a kitchen renovator, an Italian kitchen renovator, what I would, in other words, granite bench tops and all that sort of stuff, I would be having on the homepage of my website the 3 biggest lies that most kitchen renovators tell you when they're quoting to do your kitchen. And hint, hint, that's not really a granite bench top. In other words, it comes from China. Now, the moment you put a headline in a panel on the homepage of a website like that, and you invite someone to download that free report, immediately you are gravitating to expert status. Because guess what? You're dumping on the industry. You're saying, listen, I'll tell you the 3 lies that everyone else will tell you. And one of those lies is that's a granite bench top, when in fact it's not. It's a lookalike granite bench top that came out of China. Guess what? You immediately become the trusted advisor because you're telling the prospect of, be careful about, who you're talking to in the industry. And guess what? They're going to give you their details to download that free report. And then you can follow them up and sell them your kitchen renovation. It's that simple. And the other thing, number 5, is that what you need to do is build repetitive trade. And of course, if you're not collecting data in the first place, you can't do that. The whole idea of building repetitive trade is, of course, you've collected their name and their mobile and email, all that sort of stuff, and then you can sell to them over and over again. Does that make sense? I think it does. And hopefully just with that, you've been able to pick up some marketing hints that you can utilize to, market your products or services. Before I go though, let me just say this to you. Social media is the big thing, and it will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're a business owner and you are not using social media, then you better start thinking about it. Doesn't matter whether you happen to be near my vintage or whether you're a younger person. If you're not using social media, you've got to wrap your head around this and make sure that you understand how to use it. And I'll leave you with this tip. Most people are wasting their money on PPC advertising, that's pay per click advertising, because they are trying what we call a one-step sell. And a one-step sell is that you would, like you used to in the magazines or newspapers, put an ad there and say, basically you want to buy my product, come into my store tomorrow, or go to my website, or ring me up. That's not going to work on Facebook, okay? Facebook is a medium where, as it's called, social media, people are on there to interact socially. You've got to pattern interrupt those people. I've stolen that from Anthony Robbins, but he calls it a pattern interrupt. So that means as they're scrolling down the news feed, you've got to interrupt them with something that's going to get their attention. And I'll give you an example of a client of ours who was using Facebook incorrectly, and we fixed it for him, whereby the results were stunning. Let me tell you what it was. He was a aluminium back fence manufacturer, and so therefore his target audience, understandably, were owners of homes that may be 25, 35, 40 years of age, which meant they had a paling fence that was probably falling over because it's 30 or 40 years old. And so therefore he did letterbox drops. He advertised on Facebook, which he affectionately called Face Page. He told me that Face Page thing, JD, it doesn't work. I said, it's Facebook. And what he would do is that he was talking about the features. He showed a picture of the aluminium fence on his Facebook ad, likewise on his letterbox brochures, right? And I said to him, oh no, look, that's not a turn on. I don't think anyone's really been turned on by an aluminium fence. That is the feature. That would be like Nurofen telling you about paracetamol and codeine in the tablet, or showing a picture of the tablet. We want to show the before and after the school teacher that had the headache and now she looks like Miss World and everything's fine, okay? So he said, oh, okay, well, how do I do that? I said, well, how about you just move out of the way and we'll look after your Facebook creative. And he said, yep, happy to do that. He'd been spending quite a bit of money on Facebook, by the way, and not getting any return. And so guess what? We decided to gear the Facebook advertising geographically to postcodes that had older homes, 20, 30, 40 years of old homes, because they more than likely would have an old paling fence that was falling down. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, look for your most potentially profitable customer and then target them. So that's what we did, and I'll show you on the screen right now what we did. We ran the ugliest back fence in Australia contest. Keep in mind, this is going in front of people who are living in an old home that have probably got a fence falling down. We asked them to simply, or invited them to just take a photo of their ugly fence and post it to his Facebook page for the chance to win an aluminium fence makeover. And you'll see that we actually tested a second ad, which is on your screen right now. So we tested both of those ads. One worked a little bit better than the other. And you'll see the end game was, for them, was the chance to win an aluminium fence makeover for their backyard. Well, of course, it cost him next to nothing because that's what he did. Guess what? He got 2 years worth of leads in 3 days. And in that 3 days, I think he spent something like $519 over those 3 days. And he rang me and said, JD, you've got to turn it off. We can't handle anymore. He was blown away. 2 years worth of leads in 3 days. Imagine if you had that sort of response to Facebook ads. Now, guess what? Whenever he gets through those leads, all he has to do to get more leads is switch that campaign back on again. So once you nail the concept, once you've got the formula, then of course you can turn it on and off whenever you like. We've done the same thing for a kitchen renovation company. That's why the kitchen renovation thing came up before. They just wanted to, basically, make their Facebook ads work, and they weren't. So you'll see on the screen right now, we ran a campaign, again, in areas that had older homes, because they're the people that would have an old kitchen. And what we did there is, you'll see this ad on your screen. We just simply said to them, look, we're a kitchen renovation company. We've got some new designs coming out. We just want to find out which is probably the most popular out there. Could you vote for either A or B? And it's a poll, it's a survey. And so therefore, when they clicked the ad, they went through to a landing page, okay? And therefore, you'll see on the landing page, we just said vote for A or B, and you're in the chance to win a $10,000 kitchen makeover. And guess what? In 5 days, we had to turn that campaign off. They had 6 months worth of leads in 5 days. And you might say, well, where did that $10,000 come from? Do they have to come up with that? Because I don't have that. No. We have an association with a big insurance company that provides the big prizes for TV shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Deal or No Deal. That $10,000 kitchen renovation prize is basically underwritten by the insurance company for a premium of just $400. So this kitchen renovation company pays the insurance company $400 premium, and therefore if the $10,000 prize goes off, then they don't have to pay it. The insurance company pays it. Because what happens, just to explain to you what happens here, well, firstly, the kitchen renovation company, got 6 months worth of leads in 5 days of people who were warm prospects because they wanted to win a kitchen makeover. Can you imagine? You don't want to win a kitchen makeover unless you've got an old kitchen. So therefore, these people are already warm prospects. They glow in the dark saying, I want a kitchen makeover. What happens after the promotion? You draw one person out, and that person actually gets to go online and spin an electronic chocolate wheel. And before they spin it, they plug in a number between 1 and 250. So it's a 1 in 250 chance of them winning the $10,000 kitchen makeover. So if I plug in number 84 and then press spin, the wheel goes around. And if it comes up, then of course, the insurance company pays out the $10,000 that's used for the kitchen makeover. And if it doesn't come up and one of the 249 other numbers of the 250 come up, well, they win a consolation prize, okay? And the business, whatever business it is, yours maybe, has to come up with a consolation prize. And that could be a month's worth of groceries at Woolworths. It could be a weekend away at a nice hotel or whatever, all right? But the fact is, the insurance company gives you the Elvis found headline by having this big prize. So that's a 2-step sell. The first step is getting someone to actually look at your Facebook ad, react to it, go through to another page and give their details in return for something for free or the chance to win something. And the second step is, once you've got that warm potential, warm prospects, I should say, you sell to them. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it. And so therefore, I believe that's the way that you can generate avalanche leads. Now, look, hopefully you found this to be not only interesting, but you found it to be pretty valuable for marketing your products or services. And if you would like to learn more of how you can actually get value out of this sort of advice, you want more of this sort of advice, then I have got a pretty interesting proposal to put to you. And let me tell you what that is. I have an online training program called Wow My Marketing. And Wow My Marketing provides you with 2 of this type of video every week for you to digest and swipe the ideas and use them to promote your products or services. If you think this webinar has been valuable in terms of the tips I've given you in a relatively short period of time, then it might be something for you. It's a crazy, crazy price. You'll see on your screen right now, it is pretty nuts in terms of your investment for the value that you get back. Think about this. The number that you see on your screen right now is a special offer, only for a limited amount of time. But ask yourself, well, how many more sales would I have to make, every month to actually, sort of pay for this this swipe file of video tutorial? And I would suggest that your break-even point is going to be pretty easy. So you'll see on your screen what the special deal is. All you need to do, if you'd like to take advantage of this, is click the button below, and that'll take you through to our page for the Wow My Marketing registration. And how it works is that every week, for as many weeks as you want to become a member, you will get 2 videos. One video is me being a little bit cheeky with a segment that I call Don't Be a Dickhead, or Don't Be a Marketing Dickhead. And it's just a little, sort of 5 or 6 or 7 minute video that shows you some crazy, stupid marketing campaign that's in the marketplace at the moment that I expose and I have a bit of a shot at, and we have a bit of a laugh. It's a little bit cheeky. And for you, it's great content because aside from just getting a bit of a laugh, and I know you're not in business just to be entertained, but you'll see some of the silly things that big, medium and small businesses are doing, just some silly mistakes, and you'll know not to make them in your business, okay? It could be as silly as putting out a letterbox brochure that's only printed on one side. And believe me, there's a lot of people that do that. That'd be like running a TV ad for 30 seconds, but 15 seconds was a blank screen, okay? Or a radio ad doing the likewise. Do not put a brochure out that's printed on one side. Print both sides, because it won't cost you hardly any more. If it's 10 cents for the brochure on one side, it'll be 11 or 12 cents to print 2 sides. So I'm not saying that that's in one of my Don't Be a Dickhead videos, but I mean, that sort of silly stuff will be there so that you'll go, wow, I'll never do that, because he might feature me in one of his future videos. The other video, the second one that you get each week, is a tutorial of what to do both online and offline to attract lots of leads and to turn as many of those leads into conversions. It's almost like me being your marketing manager ongoing. So it's almost like having me have a meeting with you every week for as long as you want. You can imagine the ideas that are going to be coming at you thick and fast week after week with these 2 videos. So for the price that you can see that you can get into this program for, it's pretty hard, I would imagine, for any business owner to go, well, that's not for me. I would imagine this is a steal. I think you'd probably find this is a stimulus. This is an ideas library that you'd probably like to sort of, be with us for quite some time. Now, by the way, once you're on board and you're enjoying these videos, then you've got the library of the ones that you've seen beforehand always there for you to go back and look at. Okay, so therefore all you need to do is just simply click the link below, and we'd love to see you as a member of our Wow My Marketing program. Thanks for joining me.